Hexy might sound sexy, but is it a scam? That's for you to decide. Now stick around for this very special episode of Scambuster Saturdays, where we get into not only Hexy and hex money, but also the larger ramifications of what might be coming with smart contract platforms and decentralized finance during this bull market.
Awesome. You heard the lady. It's a very special episode of Scambuster Saturdays.
I think that this one is important because there's so much going on here. Also, this is kind of breaking news a little bit because there's information revealed in this that unless something has come out in the last couple of hours, nobody else has.
Yeah, Nicole, first off, I love that you brought this to Scambuster Saturdays. Guys, if you had any doubt that Scambuster Saturdays had a future in cutting edge, bleeding journalism, well, Nicole brought a source that is that will change your minds. It's great to be able to say we've got a secret source who we cannot reveal because it's true. But let's get first things first. Let's just evaluate this project, and then let's talk about the broader ramifications, as you mentioned before, of using platforms like this. And so if you're just tuning in and you're wondering, hey, is this about hex money? Is this about the hex token, right, at hex.win? It's not necessarily about the hex.win platform or hex token. This is about a platform that's a derivative platform of hex. So should we evaluate that? And then we'll talk about some of these potential hazards, these pitfalls that are out on the DeFi platform or DeFi landscape.
Yeah, we can do it that way. So derivative platform, yeah, I would say so. Although it's kind of confusing because it's definitely seems to be the case that Hexy wants not only investors, but also the people who were actively involved in the construction of this project to believe that this was a second layer solution built on Hex. It's not.
Right. Well, let's talk a little bit more about let's stick to the cards here. I guess you got a great write-up for this episode. I think we're probably going to have a separate article that's just for Hex Money or the Hexy token. So look for that at miner.biz/is Hex Money a scam? And so, Nicole, why the controversy? Where did it all come from?
Illegal security, unregistered security, launching an ICO without calling it an ICO, lack of transparency about where the 10% Hex bonus funds go, concerns about centralization of the project, potentially major security vulnerabilities that could lead to users' private keys being leaked in a cross-site scripting attack, and an audit which revealed issues in the code before the release of Hexy 2. But the founders went ahead and launched it anyway without fixing it, allegedly, which led to them needing to remove liquidity from the exchanges and caused the price of the token to plummet over 90% in minutes, from the $7 range to under $1. I don't know if it's a scam or not, but there are definitely people out there who must be feeling like it is.
Got it. It sounds like the allegations are strong, to be sure. Everything you mentioned before is cause for concern, and I'm very eager to take a look at that audit. I think you actually sent me a copy of it, so I've got that ready for us to take a look at with a fine-tooth comb if we need to, but also make available to the audience as a download on miner.biz if they want to see this, the PDF version of this audit. That's intriguing.
Okay, so Seth, do they make bombastic claims?
Wow. I mean, just briefly looking at the website, don't see any obvious bombastic claims or claims of promises for investors. It looks like a pretty standard kind of exchange type site, like you'd find at Uniswap or some other place like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But is there a tiered referral system?
Actually, no. So they copied Hex's single tier referral system. So yes, users are incentivized to bring in new users, and there is, a bonus or reward for bringing someone new. But that doesn't mean that you continue to receive reward on every person who those people bring in on down. So it's a single tier referral system.
Okay. So two boxes not checked.
Mm-hmm. All right. So where can it be traded or used?
Looks like they're limited exchanges for now. It's Bitcratic and then Uniswap, both versions 1 and 2 of Uniswap. Mm-hmm. And then there are the use cases of hex.business. It's used to swap Hex with Hexy, HXY, or Hexy into USDC. or hex. Let's see. Let me get this straight. Hexy into USDC, hex, other hexy tokens, or Ethereum, which is potentially not helpful to hex. And then playing hex lotto, and then any future plans for more. There may be some other gambling sites that are derived from it.
Yeah, gambling and gaming is something that they anticipate being big on this network.
I'm just going to mention, just for the record here, it's cool that they have these uses for exchanging into USDC, ETH, and hex. It should just be mentioned for the record that ETH and USDC, there are known tumblers for those two. Hex, I'm not sure, but there are active tumblers that do high volume of both Ethereum and USDC.
Nice. That's definitely good to know.
So is it legal in the US and other regulated countries? Why or why not?
So it's not illegal to own Hexy in the US right now, but many are saying that it's a huge mistake for the founders to continue conducting what they're viewing as an illegal ICO of an unregistered security token that the founders insist is a utility because the token is complete. Hexy does fail the Howey test, and because of that, I'm not a regulator. I don't give financial advice, but it seems likely that it could be dubbed a security. So what kinds of legal trouble could Hexy's founders and team face? I talked to an attorney who did not want to share her name. And she said, potentially in the US, we're looking at 3 different options: prison time, a large fine that would completely knock out the business, or a small fine that could allow the business to continue to operate, but with provisions, which would usually mean that the business would have to provide information about their customers in order to, sing for their supper, I guess.
Got it. But it seems like in cryptocurrency, we know that snitches get stitches, and so much cryptocurrency is designed to be at least pseudonymous, if not anonymous. How are they going to give that much info on their customers?
Yeah.
So maybe one of those options isn't even really available to them.
Yeah, that's a great point. Additionally, though I didn't write it in the report yet, one of the founders is living in the UK, where they have much stricter rules and regulations about what happens when you run an unregistered security, and that is a minimum of 2 years in prison.
Oof. It sounds like, so it could be dire then if this is determined to be the case.
It could be very serious. Yeah, absolutely.
So
sorry. I didn't answer this question. Maybe we should just skip to actual experts promote it, because we're kind of talking about something that there aren't real actual experts in. I don't know.
No, you bring up a really good point. How many experts are there in this next phase of DeFi and now liquidity farming, which is a very, very popular thing? There are some popular personalities. One, for example, is Omar Bam. Now, Omar Bam, he doesn't really talk about liquidity farming from the perspective of somebody who's trying to give any kind of advice. He'll occasionally just highlight different platforms. For example, he showed one where people were doing liquidity farming with basic attention token. But let's be real. Even Omar is very realistic about the fact that he's a guy with a YouTube channel and and a webcam who is able to talk with some expertise on the topic, but he doesn't view himself as a domain level expert across everything that has to do with cryptocurrency tokens and now this new field of liquidity farming and DeFi. He's a guy with a really strong opinion. Outside of that, I haven't seen many people who have expertise in this area publishing their opinions very loudly. I think everyone's approaching this with extreme caution.
Makes sense. All right, so who are they marketing to? Noobs or savvy buyers? Well, you can buy Hexy direct from USDC, or maybe it's only that you can cash it into USDC. Also, it's worth noting, they didn't tell noobs that when they used their Hexy and exchanged it into Hex using the Hexy platform, that then the 10% or 10 to 20% bonus tokens were not awarded to the user the way that they would be had they bought them directly from Hex. Instead, those bonus tokens were given to Hexy.
Oof. Okay, so they lined themselves up to get the additional margin. Ouch. Ouch. Okay, so let's talk about who's on the team anyway. I think
actually, I don't have permission to use their names right now.
Got it. Well, let's do this. Let's just ask, for the audience's sake, are they real, pseudonymous, or fake? Because it sounds like right now, in terms of the public eye, they're not visible.
Right.
So that's a big deal. Let's ask that question. Let's try to come up with a definitive answer for the purpose for the sake of the audience. Who's on the team? You don't know. I don't know. So you guys don't know. And is there a team page right here on hex.money or hex.business?
There's not.
No. Unless something is, I'm going to refresh the page. Nope. Still no.
Yep. Yeah.
So let's talk about the founder claims. Have any founder claims been proven to be false?
Yeah. So they told the public, their public telegram, that Hexy was a second layer solution built on Hex. It wasn't, and it still isn't. I've got a photo taken from hex.business today, in which it says hex.business is an ecosystem built entirely around Hex, an ERC20 token based on the Ethereum blockchain. That said, I've talked to a former employee from Hexy who had left the project because of a lack of transparency, and because he said that he felt as though he was lied to in the original, when he was hired to come onto the project, because he thought that Hexy was a second layer solution built on Hex. Obviously, we've already talked about how that's not the case. So there's that. Yeah.
Got it.
And there's actually some other stuff that we should probably talk about right here where it makes sense. So there have been a couple of different versions of the Hexy token. With version 1, on June 10th, there was an audit conducted which revealed major issues with Hexy. However, the founders chose not to fix those errors before launching Hexy 2 on June 17th. They didn't actually even admit the error until June 28th, when they pulled the liquidity from the exchanges, again, which caused a massive crash in the price, even though the report of the issues was in the June 10th audit. So they were very aware. I guess it's possible that they didn't read the audit, but I don't know what you can do in terms of plausible deniability there.
Got it. We've got a copy of the audit right here, live on screen next to you as you're going over this particular point in the Scam Busters episode. But this is lengthy. Audit 1, it has the disclaimer. It has all kinds of points in a table above it. I mean, there's got to be 2 or 3 dozen different points that they lay out pretty clearly between the contract, the issue, the severity of the problem, who the auditor was, and they've given each auditor a distinct number instead of a name there. And so because there were 3 independent audits conducted, and then the comment from that developer, but very few of the issues found are claimed as fixed in the auditor's notes.
Yeah, well, I mean, and what we definitely know here is that the audit was given to the Hexy team on the 10th. They chose not to act on it. Either they didn't read it, or they just thought that it wasn't a big deal and went ahead with it. What ended up happening was a lot of people lost a lot of money really quickly, and there's definitely some discontent in the community.
Yeah. Gosh, what did I think I read a quote on crypto Twitter, and it makes sense. In the tech startup scene, there's the dictum, move fast and break things. And that comes from Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook. And hey, you know what? When it comes to things like Facebook, the early iterations of it, fine. But that is no longer even the mantra at Facebook, because they can't break people's lives, and now people's livelihood is based on Facebook. Mm-hmm. When it comes to people's money, no, don't move fast and break things. Yeah.
So there's actually another point that maybe makes sense to talk about right here, and it's that basic hacker tools can be used to scan the entire directory, Hexy's entire directory. If you sign in through MetaMask, it leaks your private key to the temporary storage in your computer or in your browser. It disappears when you clear it, but if there's anything malicious in your browser already, your private keys can be grabbed through DOM and cross-site scripting attack to get private keys can happen.
Oof. Okay.
So this is something that, like, we maybe after we finish discussing Hexy specifically, we should talk about, right? Because this is something that we were going off about.
Absolutely. This is where it becomes a very special episode of Scam Busters, because when it comes to whether it's wallet hygiene or private key hygiene, this is so important. And frankly, it's one of the dangers of working with anything that's Ethereum based using MetaMask, because your private keys are online while you're operating. It's quite dangerous, and people don't seem to respect how dangerous it is.
So that said, I do happen to know, though, that this is less of a risk, or not a risk, if you're using a hardware wallet.
Okay, well, there you have it. At the same time, so many of these tools require authentication, and sort of the de facto standard is to use MetaMask. This is a user behavior that a lot of people, like Ethereans, are used to. Or my Ether wallet CX, which runs on variants of Chromium. There are only so many ways to do this. And now the Brave browser that has its own key management tool, or Ethereum key management tool, wallet management tool, which doesn't quite function with Web3 websites yet. But I think the intent is that it will have broader support. But it's the same issue. It's the same concern when you're working with like a hot wallet like this. That's scary. That's really scary that you can have any kind of a data leak. You can have any kind of a data leak, whether it's through the OS or maybe the clipboard system of the OS somehow being exploited, or some other exploit like a cross-site scripting attack, like you mentioned. And I'm not going to pretend to be an expert in this field. I'm not a developer. I'm not an InfoSec specialist. It's just, we've seen problems with this. The closer you get to the action of a hot wallet, that the more problems there can be. So.
Yep. All right. So they do have a function. So number 9, do they have a functioning blockchain or token? Yeah, they have a token. It doesn't operate as a full utility token because the project is incomplete. For instance, they're building a casino. So I mean, yes, but it does function.
Okay. Yeah. There you go. GitHub repository. Let's just take a look at the hex.business site and take a look. Is there womp womp? There's no easy way to find any of those, any of that. We can probably find the Hexy contract on Etherscan, but a GitHub repository to find anything else, I'm not seeing a link.
Yep. Okay. Let's check the smart contract.
Okay. So checking out the smart contract, we're going to need to go to etherscan.io and etherscan.io. We'll do this live real fast. And it'd be ideal for us to find HXY, the token. There we go. HEX.MONEY version 2 and HEX.MONEY. We can see those smart contracts available there. I'm going to take a look at version 1 just because we can pull it up. And yeah, that shows right here. Read the contract. Look at the info. It's available there. I'm sorry. I look at the contract here. I found the token, but we have the contract available here. We can see how much activity there is going through it. That last activity for version 1 was 11 hours and 4 minutes ago. So still running there. And we can look up HXY again and pull up HEX.MONEY version 2 and look at the contract. It too shows us that, version 2 shows the last activity was 14 days and 9 hours ago. So it could be that I'm not looking up the correct smart contract address. We would have to have that. I have to know that we're looking at the correct smart contract address to know exactly what we're seeing here on etherscan.io. But the point is that it is available there for third parties to inspect. So if you have the ability to take a look at this with a fine-tooth comb, or if you want to have somebody audit it for you who is a Solidity expert, it's available on etherscan.io because this is an ERC20 token. So none of this stuff is done in secret or in the dark. You can look this up.
Yep. And the last point is to, ask yourself, what does your gut tell you? What is your instinct saying? So Seth and I don't make these determinations, right? Like, is Hexy a scam? I don't know. Do your own research. This is not financial advice.
No, it is not.
The only person that can prevent you from getting scammed is you.
Correct. But to wrap this one up, guys, let's quickly reiterate, because you brought up such an important point about the accusation that there has been a cross-site scripting attack for this particular site. Anytime you're being asked to sign in with a tool like MetaMask, unfortunately, it requires trust again. This idea that you need to verify, don't trust. Sure, that's a really nice idea. The trope within, right, the quip within the cryptocurrency scene and the blockchain scene of code being law. No, code is speech. Code is speech, and sometimes people lie, and sometimes there are lies written into code. So we've got to be really, really careful about who we trust when interacting with tools like MetaMask or like my Ether wallet CX, or even with a hardware wallet. We have to be cautious. DeFi is not safe. It's not benign. It is dangerous freedom, right? It's dangerous liberty. But in this case in particular, working with hot wallets, it's extra dangerous liberty. So yeah, I think that bears repeating that you have to do your homework on exchanges and on sites like this, and you have to try to audit smart contracts or find somebody that can audit them. Or if an audit is publicly available, I'm just going to flash down the screen one more time, and you know that it's failed from a security standpoint. I think you need to be really cautious. Not going to call this project a scam, but if you see an audit and it says it's failed security, you need to be cautious.
Yeah, all of that said, there's some major, not issues specifically with this project, but it definitely brings up some other major issues, and that's why we wanted to sort of push this one out. In fact, we skipped another episode that we had much better planned to bring you this one, because this is what people are talking about right now.
Yeah, and again, without disclosing without disclosing anything more about the inside source that reached out to Nicole. Nicole reached out to me this morning and said, "Hey, Seth, this is so important because my source told me XYZ, and this is breaking, guys. This is breaking. You've got to guard your coins jealously, right? You got to guard your Ethereum especially so carefully because of all these different kinds of tools and the potential for third-party attackers and web wallets and web plugins that allow you to run a hot wallet. There's so many people and so many potential ways to lose your coins. Don't become a statistic. Don't lose your coins over insecure sites or plugins. Not worth it.
Yeah.
But is there anything else that you want to share from your source?
Sorry, was there something else that you want? Okay, I think that was just the simple point of. I think that you already made it that DeFi is a really hot area. Like, this is, what people are interested in, which means that it's going to draw scammers.
Absolutely. This is where the action is. And I think what we were talking about off camera was that 2 years ago, 3 years ago, closer to the bull run of 2017, it was extremely common to see, especially crypto notes and some other types of coins, to see them forked very, very rapidly with the intent of exit scamming. And it seems like the exit scam du jour right now with this heavy interest in DeFi is smart contract platforms that may be insecure or that may have a smart contract that most people would view and feel is unfair towards them, right? If it cuts them out of, say, 10 or 20% of the potential profits of what they want to do, or is in some way designed to enrich the founder so much, so disproportionately to people who are participating that they know that they're functionally being cheated out of something. Many people would view that as unfair, and that's kind of the equivalent of, say, on a coin fork, the development team taking a 20% pre-mine or a 50 or a 60% pre-mine and then bouncing right after it hits exchange. That's not as popular now, but with DeFi, you don't even need to fork a coin. You write a smart contract, build a website, tell people to show up and give you Ethereum. Done. All in a day's work.
Yeah. So, all right, why don't you give the closer this time? Why don't you give that? Yeah.
Okay, guys. So like Nicole said before, we can bring this info to you, and we think these 12 questions are valuable for anybody who's evaluating any project in cryptocurrency. It'll help you at least kind of better prepare yourself with that process and figure out, get yourself out of the echo chamber, because at the end of the day, the only person that can keep you from being scammed is you. See ya.